இப்படியெல்லாம் பண்ண வேண்டியதா இருக்கு. மறந்துட்டேன்.
ஓகே, லைவ் வந்துருச்சு.
அதே
நீங்க ஒரு செக் பண்ணாத லிங்க்ல
போயிடும்.
ஹலோ, போர்ட் ரூம்லையா? சரி சரி. எத்தனை மணிக்குங்க? ஹலோ, அதுக்குள்ளே வச்சாச்சு. என்ன டைம் கேட்கறதுக்குள்ள
Morning. Good morning to one and all present here. We will start the faculty development program sharp at 10 o'clock. Dear participants, the faculty development program will start in 5 minutes. A very good morning to one all gathered here. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. Maya Angelou. Welcome to the 7-day International FDP on an expedition towards multilingual culturalism. This is the day 5 of our FDP. In today's program, we are going to explore Japanese language. 4 things let us ever keep in mind. God hears our prayer, God heeds to our prayer, God answers our prayer, and God delivers by prayer. With that note, Let us rise for the prayer song. Thank you all. Dear participants, thank you for joining us today. We have amongst us Miss A. Rajarajeshwari, freelance translator, Kerala. She is going to speak on the topic Yokoso, Pursuit for Japanese Culture. So let's get started. I invite Mr. K. Vijay Kumar, Head in Charge, Department of English, to deliver the welcome address.
Very splendid morning to you all. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 7 days International FTP on an expedition towards multilingual culturalism. Day 5, entitled Yokoso, a Pursuit for Japanese Culture, going to be presented by Miss E. Rajeshwari ma'am, the freelancer translator, Kerala. And it is my first and foremost duty to welcome our beloved principal sir, Dr. S. Paulisamy sir, for his virtual presence. I welcome you, sir, and I would like to welcome the deans and head of the departments and fellow faculty members and energetic participants, those who have joined here through virtually and physically. I welcome you all. And it is my great pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Miss A. Rajeshwari ma'am, freelance translator, Kerala. I welcome you, ma'am. Once again, I welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I invite Dr. N. Ravi Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to introduce the chief guest of the day.
Good morning to everyone joined in a 7-day international virtual faculty development program on an expedition towards multilingual culturalism, day 5. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce today's resource person, Ms. A. Rajarajeshwari, freelance translator, Kerala. She completed her BA English Literature, Foreign Language University, Hyderabad, MA English Language and Literature in University of Calicut, Diploma in Japanese in English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad, and also she qualified Japanese Language Proficiency Test Level 4. Thank you.
A different language is a different vision of life. With great pleasure, I invite Ms. S. A. Rajeshwari, freelance translator, Kerala, to share her valuable knowledge with us. Please, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Kudos to Department of English for KPR College of Arts and Science and Research, Art, Science and Research for hosting this wonderful program. And I thank everyone for giving me this platform to speak. So without much further ado, I will be sharing my presentation. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Before I start the presentation, I'd like to add that I am planning for quite an interactive session. So all interactions are welcome. So before we go into the next slide, first, you might have noticed the first word of my session. It's Yokoso. Does anyone know what Yokoso means? Anyone? All right. Yokoso means welcome in Japanese. You say that to a group of people when you are welcoming them to an event or a place. So right here, you can see the words that are written here reads Yokoso. And before I go into my presentation, I'd like to ask you that these days Japan has been on the news lately, and can anyone answer why it is so?
Top in getting the Olympic medals.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for answering. The Olympics is going on. It was supposed to be scheduled in 2020, but unfortunately the pandemic happened and was postponed to 2021, and it has been held in the capital city of Tokyo. So speaking of Japan, this is a political map of Japan. Can you name any places that you're familiar with? Of course, there's Tokyo over here. Any places that you see that you can recognize from these names?
Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Yes, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the tragedy of Second World War. So just like India, how India is divided into states and union territories for easier governance, Japan is divided into 47 prefectures. Japan, as you all might know, is a East Asian country, which is actually an archipelago, a group of over 6,800 plus islands. And just like how we call India as Bharat or Bharatam in our Indian languages, the Japanese people refer to Japan as Nihon. Nihon. These are the two characters that make up the word Nihon. And the first character, as you can see here, represents sun or day. The second character represents origin or foundation. So it is from these characters that Japan gained the epithet of land of the rising sun. Moving on, we can see the flag of Japan over here. It is a opaque red circle in the middle of a white spread, and this is the Japanese currency. We call it yen. And these two are two prominent figures of Japan. These two people run Japanese government, as we know. The first person is Suga Yoshihide. He is the current Prime Minister of Japan. He came to power in 2020. He succeeded Abe Shinzo, who stepped down from the position due to health issues. The next person is Naruhito, and he is the current emperor of Japan. He ascended the chrysanthemum throne in 2019 when his father Akihito stepped down, and his era, the beginning of his era, is called Reiwa. His father's era was called Heisei, and when he stepped down, that era ended, and now it's Naruhito's era, Reiwa. Moving on. Let's talk about the seasons of Japan. First, we have spring, which is called Haru. And Haru or spring goes on from March to May. Again, I would like to remind you that these are generalizations. Japan is a large country, so we can only generalize the 4 seasons as it is and the time period of these seasons. So first we have spring or Haru, which goes on from March to May. When you think of spring in Japan, the first thing that might come to your mind would be the cherry blossoms, the pink sakura petals fluttering onto the rivers of Japan. And also with them comes the peach blossoms, which are lighter in color. And these 2 trees blossoms only during spring. And it's a very special occasion for the Japanese people. During this time, they go for picnics and they sit down beneath these trees. They spread a blanket, they bring food, they eat, they drink, they socialize. They spend at least a whole day underneath these pretty blossoms, and it's a very joyous occasion. Next, we have summer, which is called Natsu in Japanese. Summer goes on from June to August, and the Japanese summer is not complete without the summer festivals, which is also called Natsu Matsuri. These Natsu Matsuris are usually held by localities, local governmental bodies. They arrange these festivals. It's almost like a carnival. There will be food to eat, there will be stalls to buy stuff from, there will be games, there will be carnival rides. And in the end of every Natsu Matsuri, there will be a very bright fireworks show. And Japanese pyrotechnicians are worldwide famous for their expertise in fireworks, making amazing art with their fireworks. So that's how that's one thing you can think of when you think of Japanese summer. After summer comes autumn. Autumn or Aki goes on from September to November. Now, when we think of Japanese Aki, the first thing that comes to mind are the deciduous trees, which turn from green to yellow to orange to red during this course of time. So, similarly to spring, in autumn, the Japanese people, they go out for watching these trees, these leaves turn their color. They hold festivals and celebrate. For example, they watch the maple leaves turn their color from green to red, and it's called momijigari. Momijigari. So autumn is also a joyous occasion. After autumn comes the winter. Now, as I told you, Japan is a very large, albeit long country. So the southern part that comes in the archipelago, for example, Okinawa, is closer to the equator, so it has more temperate climate. But in the northern areas, the northern regions, in winter, it starts snowing. So usually in winter, that's the time when they go on vacations to these southern islands, especially Okinawa, for getting the heat and sunbathing and traveling with their family and friends. That's the main four reasons, main four seasons of Japan. Next, we have Omatsuri or festivals. Now, Japan, as we all know, is a very culturally rich country, and they have quite a few festivals that are unique to them, or maybe shares the culture with other East Asian countries. These six are some of them. The first one is Setsubun. Setsubun. Setsubun is a spring festival. It's celebrated in the beginning of spring, and after the harsh winter, it's almost like the life is coming back to the plants and animals. So the spring festival is basically to get rid of all evil. What they do during Setsubun is they get dried soybeans, they call it fukumame or lucky beans. They go to their front yards and throw these beans out. And usually there will be someone or some people who are wearing the mask that you can see on the screen right here. That is the mask of a demon or an oni. Now, onis are malicious spirits. They bring bad luck to people. So what they are doing is they are throwing these beans away at these onis and shouting, Oni wa soto, fuku wa uchi, which means demons, go outside. Good luck, please come inside. So with this Setsubun, they are basically getting rid of all evil spirits from their house that might have gotten in there during the harsh winter and welcoming a new year and a new harvest. The second one is Hina Matsuri, or the Dolls Festival. It's also called Daughters Festival. It used to be a festival to celebrate the daughters of a family. And in the olden days, it used to be a festival so for praying for the daughters to get a very good groom. But days have changed, and so have the festival rituals. So as you can see on the screen, there are different platforms. There are different steps, which is covered with luscious red carpet. And on each step, you can see that they placed dolls. Now, these dolls, they represent the traditional imperial court. The two dolls that sit atop this structure are the emperor and the empress. Right below them are the ministers, and right below them are the musicians and the court jesters. So basically, they decorate a particular room in all richness of mini imperial court and wish for the blessings for their daughters. It's I could even say that it's almost similar to Kanya Puja of ours. Now, next is Kodomo no Hi, or Children's Day. Now, it used to be called Boys' Day, but the Japanese government officially changed its name to Kodomo no Hi in 1948 and announced it as a national holiday. Kodomo no Hi is celebrated on the 5th day of the 5th month, so 5th of May. Now, on Kodomo no Hi, it usually used to be for boys to play around and for parents to wish for a good future for their sons. But now it's for all children. It's basically when you pray for the well-being of your child and wish for their good health and good fortune. On Kodomo no Hi, you hang these decorated fish-shaped wind socks These fishes are called carps. It represents an old Chinese folk tale, which goes around a carp who swam upstream against it downstream, and its sheer perseverance and willpower turned it into a dragon. So by doing this, the parents are wishing for their children to be the same, to be strong, to go against the downstream and become dragons of their own world. The next festival is Tanabata, and it is a festival that celebrates the reunion of two lovers that were uh, forcefully parted by a river. And on this is the only day, the 7th day of the 7th month, which was this month actually, 7th of July. On the 7th day of the 7th month, these two lovers come to the banks of the river that separates them, and a flock of birds, magpies, comes and builds a bridge from one bank to the other. So it is said that the lovers reunite for just one day in the whole year with the help of these birds. And on the day of Tanabata, as you can see, there are colorful paper strips, and people write their biggest wishes that they want to be true on these colorful paper strips, and they hang them on bamboos or this particular tree called the wish tree. It is said that on a clear day, if Tanabata turns out to be a clear day with no clouds and no rain, your wish will be granted. Next, we have Obon. Obon is a ritualistic festival. It revolves around asking your ancestors for blessings. So Obon the celebration of Obon is different in different regions of Japan, but there are some similar things like a family will go and visit the shrine or the altars of their ancestors. They will give them incenses, they will light lamps and lanterns, and then they will do this particular dance called Bon Odori. Bon Odori is a dance where you make a big circle and you dance as you go. And you repeat the same steps over and over again. There will be a campfire sort of setting in the middle, but you just keep circling this fire by singing and dancing the same steps. Next is Otsukimi, or moon viewing. Now, Otsukimi is a mid-autumn festival where you watch the moon and wish for a good harvest. This same festival is celebrated in other parts of East Asia as well. It's called Chuseok in Korea. So what you do is you sit, and it happens after you have collected that season's harvest, and you make those tiny little white dumplings that you can see on the screen there. Those white dumplings are called utsukimi dango. You make those dumplings and you sit, watch the moon, and enjoy these dumplings. These dumplings are like offering to the gods so that they will have a bountiful harvest in the coming year as well. So it's for wishing. It's a celebration that is accepting of the blessing and wishing for another blessing in the coming year. Next, we will look at some things that are very much a part of Japanese culture, but has been taken into the view of the whole world. First, we have origami. Now, origami is a term that's made of two words. oru, and kami. Oru means to fold the paper. Oru means to fold, and kami means paper. So basically, origami is to fold the paper. Now, we might have made a lot of at least a one boat out of paper, and we might have done that out of fun and to enjoy our time. But origami is one of the subjects that are taught obligatorily to elementary school kids who are about 3 to 6 years old, because apart from having fun and creating something, it also teaches about patience. It helps hone the memory power of the children. It teaches you about discipline and order. Because when you are trying to make something out of a paper, you cannot just fold it any way. You have to fold it in a particular way, in a particular order, and you have to form creases in the said order, or else you won't get the result that is needed. So these are some of the main parts of Japanese culture: discipline and order. So you can see paper cranes on the screen, and you can see this statue. Can anyone tell me who this person is, the statue? Does anyone know about Sasaki Sadako? No one? All right. Sasaki Sadako was one of the victims of the atomic bombings of Second World War. She got exposed to radiation when she was only 2 years old, but she lived. And later, after almost a decade, she started showing symptoms of leukemia, and it got worse. She was immediately hospitalized. And from the hospital, she made a new friend who told her that about the legend that if you manage to make 1,000 paper cranes, the gods will grant you one wish. And Sadako was just a child of 12 years, and she wanted to live, so she decided to make these paper cranes out of all piece of papers she found. She used medical wrappers, she used gift wrappers, she used everything that she could find from her tiny little uh, hospital room, and she even asked other inhabitants of the hospital for the papers that she could use to make these cranes. Now, there are two outcomes that are known for this story. One is that Sadako failed to make 1,000 cranes, and she only managed to make 644 cranes, and later succumbed to her illness and died. The second version is told by her brother, Masahiro. He told that she actually managed to make 1,000 paper cranes, but it did nothing. He told that she actually overdid it. She went over the number of 1,000. She made 300 more cranes, but you cannot change fate with paper cranes. Sadako passed away at the age of 12, but later became the worldwide symbol of peace and yearning for peace. Next, we have Japanese martial arts. Now, when you think about Japan, if you don't immediately think about the martial arts, well, that's quite impossible. First, we have karate, which the term karate, it means empty hand. So the martial art stays true to its words. It is an empty-handed martial art. You attack with your limbs and you defend with your body. That's the rule of karate. And next we have Kyudo. Kyudo is the traditional Japanese archery. You can see all these women are lined up in this uniform. This is the official Kyudo kimono. You have to wear this when you're performing or participating, just like how you wear these white and white uniform for karate and the belt to match it. You have to wear this uniform when you are performing or practicing Kyudo. The word Kyudo means the way of the bow, by the way. Next, we have Kendo. Kendo means the way of the sword. It's a diluted version of traditional Japanese sword fighting. As you can see, the swords are not really made of metals. They are not katanas. They are bamboo swords, but it will still hurt. But it's used only by experts. And as you can see, they are wearing these guards to protect themselves from fatal blows. Next, we have sumo. Sumo, well, what do I have to say about sumo? Everybody knows about sumo. It's a well-recognized martial arts. It's known for its exhibitionism, and most people say it's easy to become a sumo wrestler, but it isn't. You have to go through a very rigorous training and diet to become a professional sumo wrestler. Sometimes your body might be too weak to even become a sumo wrestler, but that's on that. Let's move on. Monuments and popular spots in Japan. First, we have Tokyo Skytree. It's right in the middle of the city of Tokyo. It's very tall, and it's so tall that you can actually see its tip from anywhere in the city. Next, we have Kinkakuji, or Temple of Golden Pavilion in Kyoto. Kyoto used to be the capital of Japan before Tokyo. Tokyo became the capital of Japan in 1868. So this is the Temple of Golden Pavilion. And in fact, if you travel for about 90 miles from this Temple of Golden Pavilion, you will get to Ginkakuji, which is the Temple of Silver Pavilion, which is also in Kyoto. And after that, we have Osaka-jo, or Osaka Castle, which is in Osaka. It remains as a symbol of the history of Japan as a country, of the shogunates and the samurais and all the regional wars, etc. It is surrounded by peach blossoms, so going there in spring will be magical. Next, we have Himeji-jo, or Himeji Castle in Hyogo. Similar to Osaka-jo, it is also a proud monument of Japan's feudal times. And it is also, it's built right in the middle of the city with peach blossoms surrounding it. So it is also, it's as if heaven on earth. Next, we have Japanese pop culture. Now, these are some of the main medias that are taking over the world of pop culture and people by storm. The first one is anime, which is short for animation. And you might not have watched anime, but you might have heard of some of them. You can see Doraemon. Doraemon is an anime. Pokemon is an anime. Naruto, then Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura. All of these are very popular and cult classic animes. The first anime, I think, was made in late 60s or so. Next, we have the manga, the Japanese comics. And just like anime, it too has a very loyal fan following. Then we have J-pop, or Japanese pop music. It has a lot of genres, as you can see, and it might look quite otherworldly if you're not used to the style. And then we have video games. Now, a Japanese video game industry has played a big part in the history of video games. Some of the biggest video game companies like Nintendo and Sega are Japanese. So moving on. Now we come to Japanese clothing, the traditional clothing called wafuku. Wafuku is the shortened version of Wareware no fuku, which means our clothes. Now, the clothes that are worn by Japanese people but are not of Japanese origin are called yofuku. Yofuku. It includes all the Western clothings and technically all the clothing styles and outfits that are not traditionally Japanese. Here you can see two types of wafuku. First, you have on the right the two pictures, the old one and the one with three people. That is kimono. Kimono, that is known as the national dress of Japan. As you can see, it's gaudy. It's very lustrous, and it's usually worn by people during very important ceremonies and functions, etc. And on the left, we have yukata. Yukata are more casual Japanese traditional wears. It might look like kimono, but when you look closer, you can see that there isn't much of that gaudiness on yukata. They are casual wears. They are like something you would wear to walk out of your house for running an errand or something. But still, since the yofuku or the non-Japanese clothing has become popular, even yukata has become more like an outfit for auspicious moments. Next, we have washoku, or it's short, just like wafuku, it is short for wareware no shokuji, which means our food. So Japanese traditional food is called washoku. You can see on the screen a very quite a simple tray of meal. This is what a simple typical Japanese tray of meal looks like, traditional Japanese meal. You can see that there is the staple food, that is rice, which is a must, a bowl of rice. There is a main dish, which is most likely fish, and there will be like some pickled grated radish or wasabi for taste. And there will be one bowl of soup, possibly miso soup. And there will be a second dish, a second side dish, and a third side dish, and some pickled vegetables. On the left side, you can see that there is a bowl of rice, a plate of the main dish that looks like salmon, and we have what looks like a pickled cucumber and some pickled vegetables, some more, a bowl of miso soup, and a piece of fried tofu, all served in a tray with a chopstick, a pair of chopsticks. The pair of chopsticks are called hashi. Hashi. Now let's move on. Now let's talk about the Japanese scripts. We are getting to Japanese as a language now. There are three basic scripts in Japanese. They are hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Now, hiragana and katakana are simple phonetic alphabets. You read it as you see it. They are pretty easy to learn. There are 49 characters each for hiragana and katakana. The difference comes where you use it. The first one, hiragana, is used to write words of Japanese origin. For example, you can see the word is enpitsu, which means pencil. Now, that is a proper Japanese word. So we can write it with hiragana. Now, the second one is katakana. Katakana is similar to hiragana, but the difference is that you write it when you're using a non-Japanese word. The Japanese, they have taken a lot of words that are not of Japanese origin into their language, but they have given it a Japanese twist, and that is this script, that is katakana. For example, kohi, that is the Japanese way of saying coffee, and it's written in katakana. Another example is if we non-Japanese people have to write our names, we have to write it in katakana because our names are not of Japanese origin. Next, we have kanji, which is quite troublesome and difficult. Now, both hiragana and katakana are diluted versions of Chinese characters. Like they have been simplified a lot, and we can use them pretty easily. But kanji are sometimes not at all diluted. They are picturesque words. They are Chinese ideographic symbols that represent an idea or a thing as a whole. For example, you have one of the simplest kanjis out there. It's the kanji for mountain. And now the problem with kanji arises when you read it. For example, this single kanji has 3 different pronunciations. When this kanji is by itself, it's yama, which simply means mountain. But when you add the kanji of fire right before this kanji, it becomes kasan. The pronunciation switches from yama to san. It becomes kasan, which means volcano. Now here is a simple example with a sentence. I am an engineer. Watashi wa engineer desu. Watashi wa engineer desu. Now the word watashi stands for I or me. You're referring to yourself. And that is a kanji, as you can see. This is the kanji for watashi. Then you have a hiragana letter, which is wa. So watashi wa. And then comes the non-Japanese word, engineer. So as usual, you use the katakana script to write the non-Japanese word, engineer. And after that comes the affirmative part of the sentence, des, which is a Japanese word. So we are back to using hiragana again. So that's a simple sentence which includes all 3 scripts, as you can see. Watashi wa engineer desu. Next, we have the interactive session. I ask you all to repeat after me when I say the words out loud. So some common greetings that are used by the Japanese people. Greetings, the Japanese word for greetings. Hello?
I think there is some interpretation. You can carry on, ma'am.
Okay, am I clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Should I rewind and go back to the last slide?
No, ma'am.
We can go to this.
Okay. So I expect some replies for this session. Okay, aisatsu. The Japanese word for greetings is aisatsu. Aisatsu. Okay, very good. Now the first greeting is good morning. You see a person in right now, I think it is perfect time. What is the time right now? 10:30? 10:40. Oh, okay. Let's think that it is early morning and that you are meeting up with a friend or meeting up with an acquaintance. And you see them and the first thing you say is, Ohayou gozaimasu. Ohayou gozaimasu. Ohayou gozaimasu. Yes. This is a polite way to say good morning. I'm sorry?
Ohayou gozaimasu.
Hi. You're getting it. You're getting the hang of it. Ohayou gozaimasu. Now, this is a polite way of saying good morning. You add the gozaimasu when you have to make it more polite. Else, if you are talking to a friend or a very close relative, you can go like, hey, Ohio. That is also okay. But if you are talking to a stranger or a person you don't know that well, or a person who is superior to you by age or position or delegation, you have to say Ohayou gozaimasu. The next word is hello or good afternoon. So this would be the right time to say konnichiwa. 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 You might have heard this word a lot. Have you heard this word? Hello, there is a static. I keep hearing a static. Hello, is everything okay?
Is it okay, ma'am? Is it okay now?
Yeah, it is okay now. Okay, so the word is konnichiwa.
Excuse me,
So
ma'am.
you use it. Yes?
It's more like nasal sound, right? Japanese.
Yeah, it is. Konnichiwa. 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 All right. I hope you understood that. You usually say that as hello. It's an informal hello that you can use with people you're familiar with, or it also means good afternoon. There is a history behind this particular greeting. It used to be a long greeting. It used to be like konnichiwa, gekibun ikaga desu ka? Which technically means how are you feeling today? But then as years passed, this greeting, they compressed it and made it to konnichiwa. So out of context, this this word literally means today is. That's all that it means. But when you use it in context, it becomes hello or good afternoon. So once again, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
All right, next we have good evening. That is used from the evening to night. So let's think of a situation. You are hungry, you want to eat something. You go to a convenience store to pick up some snacks at 8 p.m. in the night. You go in and you see the cashier, and the first thing you will tell him will be konbanwa. Konbanwa. It's nasal. Konbanwa.
Konbanwa.
Konbanwa. Yeah.
Konbanwa.
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 Yeah, you're doing it.
Konbanwa.
Yeah, that's right. Very good.
It's nationalized.
Yeah. Konbanwa. So that's good evening. When you meet a person from evening till night. Next, we have good night, which is something you say to a person who is going to sleep, or when you are texting a person and you are ending the chat. So ending the chat at night saying I have to sleep. So oyasumi nasai. Oyasumi nasai.
Oyasumi nasai.
Oyasumi nasai.
Oyasumi nasai.
You can say it in a sing-song way. That's the beauty of Japanese. You have to say it like as if you are singing a song. Oyasumi nasai.
Oyasumi nasai.
Oh, right. The nasai is added as a polite part. And if you are talking to a close friend, you can just say oyasumi, oyasumi, oyasumi. Yeah, it means good night. You can just say it's like, all right, good night. I'm going to sleep. Oyasumi. And yes, exactly. So after that comes goodbye or see you later. That is sayonara. You might have heard this word.
Yes. Sayonara. Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Sayonara. Sayonara.
It's a very formal way of saying goodbye. It's
There's a song. There's a song in Hindi. Sayonara.
Sayonara. Yes. I do not know the lyrics that come after that. I just know the sayonara, sayonara part. Okay, so sayonara is a very formal way of saying goodbye. You usually say it to people whom you are not very close with. Also, it has another undertone meaning that you usually say it to people whom you are not sure when you'll be meeting again. So you're not going to say sayonara to an acquaintance at work. When you're leaving work, you won't say to an acquaintance like sayonara. Your acquaintance will probably think that you are going to vanish into thin air or something. So sayonara is usually used when you are saying goodbye to a person whom you don't know when you will meet with again. And it's also very formal. Next is see you tomorrow. Now this one is more casual. This one is something you can use with your friends and your family. It's matashita. Matashita. I hope I was sitting in the webinar for French, and in it I think it's abiento.
Abiento.
It was abiento in French, right? See you tomorrow. Right. Au revoir and abiento. Yeah, that was in French. But now in Japanese, it's mata ashita. Mata ashita. It literally is means okay, tomorrow. You're just saying ashita means tomorrow. So till we meet again tomorrow. You're like telling them that, yeah, we will meet again tomorrow. So bye till then. Mata ashita. Next is a very important word. Now I already told you how much the Japanese people, they value politeness, and thank you and welcome are the two greetings that you must know when you are in Japan. You have to thank everyone, and you have to reply to everyone who thanks you. So first one is arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Not ozaimasu, gozaimasu.
Gozaimasu.
Can you see on the screen? It's written in English. Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu. Okay.
Yeah. Arigato alone is just thank you. You add the gozaimasu when you have to be more polite and say something like
Polite,
thank you
yeah.
very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly how you added gozaimasu for Ohio, you add gozaimasu with arigato.
Arigato.
Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Can I move on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So next one is you're welcome. Do itashimashite. Do itashimashite.
Itashimashite.
Do itashimashite.
Do itashimashite.
Yes, you're getting it. Do itashimashite, exactly it means something like, oh, don't worry about it. No problem. My pleasure. You can also just say iye. Iye means no, it's fine. You just intonate it into existence. You're like, oh, it's okay. It wasn't a big deal. So, do itashimashite.
Do itashimashite.
Do itashimashite.
Exactly. Great. So the next one is excuse me or I'm sorry. So when you're on the street and you are trying to get the attention of a complete stranger, you won't just walk straight to them. At least in Japan, you shouldn't walk straight to them and be like, hey bro, what's up? You cannot do that. So that's when you use this word, sumimasen. Sumimasen.
Sumimasen.
It can both mean excuse me and I am sorry based on the context. If you are trying to get the attention of someone, for example, when you are in a restaurant and you want to order something and the waiter is not hearing you, you can literally yell for them like, "Sumimasen!" That's how you call the waiters in Japanese restaurants. You can just say "Sumimasen" and they'll hear it and they'll come to your table. That's the excuse me usage. So when it comes to I'm sorry, like maybe when you cause a little accident, maybe you accidentally step on someone's toe, or when you are in a very busy bus or something, you just say sumimasen, sumimasen. I'm really sorry. It's like I'm sorry. That's how it's said. So sumimasen, sumimasen, sumimasen.
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 Not nasen, it's masen. Sumimasen.
Masen.
You can see on
Sumimasen.
the screen, right? Here. Sumimasen. Yeah. Is it clear? Can I move on?
Yes.
Next one is the real I'm sorry. The phrase that you say when you actually did something very bad. You you put your hands together and you're like, gomen nasai. Gomen nasai.
Gomen nasai.
Gomen nasai. That is a very polite way of saying, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I did not mean to. So, gomen nasai.
Gomen nasai.
Yes. You can also make it informal, like when you are talking to your friends, you can make it like, sorry, by removing the nasai and just saying gomen. But it is very rude, and if you're using it against, if you're using it when you're talking to a stranger or a superior, someone who is superior to you, that will be considered very rude. So it's better to add the nasai at all times. So gomen nasai.
Woman, Nasa.
Gomen nasai.
Okay. The next phrase is how are you? It's pronounced as ogenki desu ka? Ogenki desu ka? Yeah, you have to actually ask the question. Genki desu ka? Are you okay? How are you? Yeah. And to that, you say, I'm very good. Kage-sama de. Hello?
Sorry, man. You can continue.
Okay. To that, you say, I'm very good. As okage-sama de. Okage-sama de. Okage-sama de.
Okage-sama de.
Yeah. That word actually means thanks to you. So the rest is up to the speaker's interpretation. It's almost like saying, thanks to you, I am feeling very good. I am okay. So the whole sentence will be okage-sama de genki desu. Okage-sama de genki desu.
Okage-sama de.
Genki desu.
Genki desu.
Okage-sama de genki desu.
Genki desu.
Genki desu.
Genki desu.
Yeah.
Desu.
Okage-sama de genki. That is
Okage-sama
also the
de
most
genki
polite way to
desu.
say that you are sick. Okay, so next one is a part of Japanese etiquette. So when you are eating from Japan, when you get your food, you don't straight up start eating. You have a certain rule to follow. The first thing you do when you get the your tray of meal is put your hands together and say that you're thankful for the meal. It's itadakimasu. Put your hands together like saying namaste, and you say itadakimasu.
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 Okay. That's before you eat the meal. And after you're finished eating the meal, you say, Gochusou-sama deshita. Gochusou-sama deshita.
Gochusou-sama deshita.
Exactly. It's like first you say thank you for the meal, and in the end you say that was great. Thank you again. Gochusou-sama deshita. It filled me up. So thank you
Gochusou-sama
again.
deshita.
Speaking of Japanese eating etiquettes, it's actually usually you don't see it in many places, but it's actually a good thing to leave some food on your plate. It's like showing your host or whoever, if you're eating from a restaurant or something, it's if you leave some food bits on your plate, it's actually like a sign of saying that you're so full you cannot eat anymore. So it's a good thing to leave some food on your plate.
Even in British culture, they do that, and it means a decent way of eating.
Yeah, it's like you're so full, and it's also like saying thank you to the host for feeding you so much. Yeah. And but on the other hand, in Germany, they will they will go violent if you leave food on your plate.
Yeah, in other countries, that is bad.
That's a bad thing to do. Very bad manner. It's like disrespecting the food.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so itadakimasu and gochusou-sama deshita. Those two are also important etiquette phrases. The next one is congratulations. Your friend won a lottery. You're jealous, but you have to congratulate her. So, omedetou gozaimasu.
Gozaimasu.
Omedetou.
Omedetou gozaimasu.
Omedetou gozaimasu.
Omedetou gozaimasu.
You can go slow. Japanese usually speak very slowly. You don't have to worry about speeding it up. You can speak very slowly. Omedetou gozaimasu.
Omedetou gozaimasu.
Yeah, exactly. And you add the gozaimasu because it's
It
more
is
polite.
polite.
Yeah. If you don't want to be polite, if you're still jealous of your friend for winning the lottery and not giving you a little dime, you'll be like, omedetou.
Oh,
Take your money and leave. Omedetou gozaimasu. The next one, can I move on? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is also quite important. It's okio tsukete. Okio tsukete.
Okio kete.
Tsukete. Tsukete.
Skete.
Okio tsukete.
Okio skete.
So together you say okio tsukete.
Okio skete.
Now this is the version you will tell someone very close to you. Like when your friend had come over and now they are leaving, and you'll be like, okay, be careful, call me when you get home. That's the feeling that's given here. So okio tsukete. Okio tsukete. Is it clear?
yes.
Will you approach a Japanese person with much confidence now?
Wish to.
They'll usually the Japanese people, they are very shy, and especially they do not give much importance to English language in their culture. Like they tend to stick to their own language for that matter.
Most,
So if you
sorry, most of the other, even in Europe and all those Russians or Spanish or whatever the language they speak, over the people, they would like to speak in their own language.
Yeah, the English is everywhere. English is there because there will be language barriers, but
yeah.
And usually the Japanese are very shy people. So if you go straight to them and bombard them with some English sentences, they will only just run away from there. Like they cannot understand.
They will never look at you. Yeah.
They will never look at you. They will be like, oh, okay, I do not want to associate with you anymore. And but if you approach them with Japanese, they will probably warm up to you. It's actually Japanese people I have interacted with, they have told me of instances when strangers came to them and started speaking in started speaking in English, like the full sentences. It might be something like, hey, where is the bus stop? But they will hear the full English sentence and just freeze. So if you want to approach a Japanese person, it will be great to start a conversation in Japanese. Even if it is broken, they will, even if it is not perfect, they will keep encouraging you. They'll be like, Nihongo josu desu ne. You are so great at Japanese. You might be speaking things that do not make sense at all, but still they'll encourage you to learn more. So the next slide, we are coming to an end. If you're bored, this is also an important part, jikoshokai or self-introduction. So this is the simplest way to formally introduce yourself to a group of people in Japan. So first you say, hajimemashite. Hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite. Means nice to meet you, or this is the first time I'm meeting you, so nice to meet you. hajimemashite. Then you either say, yeah, is that okay? Can I move on?
Yeah.
Okay. After saying hajimemashite, you either say your name. Say, my name is Rajeshwari. So I say Rajeshwari des. It's like saying I am Rajeshwari. So Rajeshwari des. You say it with your name.
Hajimemashite. Kirti desu.
Okay. So once again, hajimemashite. Rajeshwari des.
Hajimemashite.
Your name des.
Nagakala des.
Yes, exactly. Or if you want to impress them a bit more, you can make it more polite. There is no limit to being polite in Japanese. That's what they usually say. You can make it more polite and say Rajarajeshwari to moshimasu. Your name, and you can see on the screen, right? To moshimasu.
Tomashimasu.
Tomoshimasu.
Moshimasu. 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 Okay.
So when I'm introducing myself, I say Rajeshwari Tomoshimasu.
Tomoshimasu.
It's like saying I am called Rajeshwari. It might sound ridiculous in English, but it's a very common way to introduce yourself in Japanese. So
it is all like royal language.
Yeah, it is. It's like you travel back in time
to those
for a few decades.
kings, to those kings and those royal times.
Yes, exactly. So Rajarajeshwari des or Rajarajeshwari Tomoshimasu.
Tomoshimasu. Okay.
And then comes the most important part. It's like asking them to treat you well. It's a yoroshiku onegai shimasu. You don't know these people. You don't know what they might do to you. So you are asking them, you're pleading them to be nice to you. Please treat me well. Please be nice to me. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
Yoroshiku
Onegai shimasu.
Onegai shimasu.
Yes. Now, who can say a whole introduction? Who can self-introduce themselves right now? I can repeat it again if you want. Can I have a volunteer who is brave enough to introduce themselves in Japanese? It's okay to make mistakes. I mean,
Nagakala Tomaishu mas.
First, you have to say hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite.
Yes.
Hajimemashite. Nagakala Tomaishu maste.
Tomoshimasu.
Tomashu mas.
Tomoshimasu.
Tomoshimasu.
Yeah, again, Nagakala Tomoshimasu.
Okay.
And the last one. Yoroshiku. Onegai shimasu.
Onegai shimasu.
Yes. 10 points for being brave.
Making an attempt.
That's how you learn. You have to keep making attempts after attempts. Even if you fail, you have to keep going. So any other brave volunteers who can introduce themselves? It's okay to make
Kirti tomoshimasu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
Oh wow, you're really getting it. That was great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, anyone else? Only brave women in this class, yeah.
Because a brave woman is teaching.
Oh. Okay. Anyone? I will ask for one more volunteer. Anyone? Vijay Kumar sir, are you
Hello,
there?
ma'am.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Pooja. Yes. Speak. I can hear you. Hello. I think there's a problem with the internet. Any volunteers? I'll be taking one more volunteer. No one? All right. If that's it, I'll move on. So the next one is about the education system in Japan. So the interacting, the session is almost over. Now we are moving on to education system in Japan. So first, just like it's almost similar to ours, but it is a bit more difficult to complete the education over there because for us, usually you complete till the 12th standard in a go. There is no tests or entrance tests after each class or anything. You can enroll in a school and you can like keep going. Maybe like after 10th you have to write the board exam, and then you have to that could count as a entrance test. But in Japan, you first join the kindergarten, and you'll be there, or the nursery school, and you'll be there for 3 years from age 3 to 6. That's the preschool education, and it's basically they try to nurture your creative and logical thinking ways and all that stuff. There might not be any particular study materials of so far. They'll be teaching origami and other activities that stimulate your brain. And after age 6, you enter the elementary schools, and you spend 6 years in elementary school. And elementary school is called shogakko. Shogakko. Just the word school.
Shogakko.
School is called gakko. Elementary
Gakko.
school, gakko.
Gakko.
See that little squiggle over the O of gakko?
Okay,
it means
gakko.
you have to you put emphasis on it. So gakko.
Okay. Gakko.
Yeah. Gakko. So
Gakko.
after kindergarten, you go to elementary school, which is called shogakko.
Shogakko.
Shogakko. Exactly.
Shogakko.
You spend 6 years in elementary school, and after that, you have to write an entrance exam. Yeah. So it's like right after passing 6th standard, you can only continue your education and get after clearing the entrance test of a junior high school of your choice. So after elementary school, you make it to junior high school or chugakko. Chugakko. Chugakko.
Chugakko.
Chugakko. Cute, right? And you get to junior high school. You spend 3 years there. Then again, to get to the senior high school, after 3 years, you have to again write another entrance test. Like you will have to apply for different schools, different senior high schools, and wish to get into any one of them. That's how you get to senior high school or Koko.
Coco. Coco.
Yeah, put emphasis on the O's. Koko.
Coco.
Yeah. And after you complete senior high school, it's like completing 12th standard, and by the age should already be 18 by then. In Japan, 18 is not technically the age you become an adult. It's 20. You become
Yes.
according to tradition, you become an adult when you hit the age 20. It's called a coming of ceremony. You will have to attend this coming of age ceremony. You will wear new flashy clothes. You will get to wear the sorry, what is that called? Yeah, the talisman, so that no one can bring you evil eye. And you go to a shrine, you pray on your birthday, and you get to taste sake. You are now legal to drink when you turn 20. So, and after you complete your education, like the compulsory education till 18th, at the age of 18th, you can either drop school and pursue something more practical, like go straight into a job, or specialize for something in universities or colleges. Universities are called daigak.
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 Daigak. Yeah, exactly. It's see the kanjis over there. The first kanji is means big, and the second kanji is something that represent to study or an institution that where you can study. So it's basically the big school. University is the big school. And that's about the education system in Japan. Moving on, and how can you learn Japanese? There are several countless free apps available on App Store where you can develop a basic understanding of the language and learn the hiragana, katakana, and kanji. They help you keep writing. You can only learn the script by constant practice. You have to keep writing. You have to keep reading. That's the problem with the 3-script system. But these apps can help a lot. And the basic Japanese course in Duolingo is very structured, is quite structured, and it might be very helpful. And there are other apps as well. There is a dictionary which is called Takoboto. I use it. It is very helpful. You can search for Japanese words with English words and vice versa, and you can search the meanings of kanjis as well in it. Or if you level up to an intermediate level, you can buy courses from online learning platforms like Udemy. Udemy has a variety of courses available for learning Japanese, and usually the Japanese courses come in discounts, very high discounts. Like last time I bought 2 courses, and the courses were originally around 5,000, but the discount was around 90%. So I got it for like only 10% of 5,000. So that is a big buy. The discount offer keeps coming back and back, so you can spend very little money and get a very good a systemized education. Or you can subscribe to platforms like Skillshare, where you pay a monthly fee. I think it's $10 per month for Skillshare. They offer very good, interesting lessons, not only in Japanese, but all languages and everything under the sun. That's what they claim. But since we are focusing on Japanese right now, I'm talking about Japanese. So there is Skillshare, and there are multiple course materials available at your fingertips. And after adequate training, you can attempt the JLPT. Now, JLPT, or Japanese Language Proficiency Test, that is conducted by the Japanese government on a worldwide level. There will be chosen exam centers in India, but I think there are only 5. In South India, it's Bangalore and Chennai. I have written tests from both Bangalore and Chennai. And so the test, JLPT, actually has 5 levels. The lowest is N5, the highest is N1. So in case you want to work in Japan, you have to have at least the N3 level. That is considered N4, and N3 are considered as the intermediate level. So if you apply for a job in Japan, they will be adamant that you have passed at least N3 level. And that is like the official certification of your proficiency in case you want to work in Japan. But if you wish to secure an actual degree in Japanese, like you want to learn Japanese, but you have to keep working in India, there are several Indian universities, including my alma mater, English and Foreign Languages University in Hyderabad. They offer part-time proficiency courses as well as bachelor's and master courses. It's there in JNU as well. JNU's bachelor's course is 4 years long, but if you know the basics of Japanese, you can go straight to the second year. You can write an entry-level exam and go straight for the second year in JNU's bachelor's Japanese course. Then you can also try and apply for distant courses from universities abroad if you have the needed qualifications. For most universities abroad, they'll ask for TOEFL and all. So if you have the needed qualifications, you can apply for those distant courses as well. And since there is a pandemic, most classes are already online, and we do not really know when we'll be able to go offline again. So this is a great time to start learning. And job opportunities, if you learn Japanese, translator or interpreter, there is a high need of translators and interpreters right now, even if it is freelancing. And you can, as I told previously, if you want to keep working in India but get a authentic degree from Indian university, you can go that way as well. There are the Japanese faculty in India is quite weak, so you can. There is a big chance there are many seats available in many universities as well as colleges to get into. Or even if you are not dreaming that big, you can become a Japanese trainer or in a private tuition class. There are a lot of tuition classes around Chennai and Bangalore itself in South India that operate by keeping this aim of JLPT in mind. So you can become a trainer, a teacher there. And the biggest chances must be in the embassies and government offices, where you can flaunt your language. If you are confident enough to flaunt your language skills and you have the right degrees, you will be welcomed. And of course, if you have enough proficiency level, there is a chance to work in Japan with other skill sets that you already have. For example, I have a friend who is an engineer who's already passed engineering and has been working for a private company, who is trying to learn Japanese so that he can use his already the credentials he already have, and use this language proficiency as well to work in Japan. There is a lot of opportunities in the aviation sector, like flight attendant, flight managers, but these days that is quite in confusion. So, and there's sales sector where you can work if you are confident enough to communicate in the language of your choice, and there are better chances to get employed in multinational corporations like Amazon. So that's it. And arigatou gozaimasu. That'll be all. That was my small presentation.
It was a wonderful presentation, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you one question. Like, as we have feminine gender and masculine gender, when we say something about like in Hindi and all, hope you know Hindi, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, like that, like for example, when you said like I'm grateful, as I had to, like we say, like you can use feminine gender and masculine gender. Do we have specifically like that in Japanese language?
No, we don't. Actually, Japanese allows you to speak about someone, a person, without specifying their gender at all.
Okay,
like you can just say that person. You can keep saying that person, but you won't even have to mention what gender they are. Or you don't have to, when you're speaking about yourself or when you're asking to anyone about something, sometimes you don't even have to mention their name. You can just say, just like the thing we did right before, the how are you question, o genki desu ka? See, this O right in front of Genki, that refers to the listener. So that O is for the listener. You do not have to think about their pronouns. You just go there, hey, how are you?
Okay, okay, yeah. In some of the languages, it is like this, that you don't need give importance to the pronouns, whether it's a masculine gender or feminine gender, and you just sometimes you attach it with the verb itself. Like in Arabic, they do that. And some other languages, like even in Indian, some of the languages is like very particular. It is very clear that a lady is speaking or a man is speaking, like, like that.
But there
my
are
jati,
some...
my aati hu, I mean, it's something simple I'm telling you. So if it is like that, yeah, when I say my jati hu, it is very clear that it's a lady who is telling that. So that's what I asked you.
There are,
and we were long back watching one very long back watching one Japanese serial. I forgot the name. Oshima, I think. I don't know. I forgot the name. Oshima or something like that. A small girl who had to struggle, and it was like, till the end of her life. It's a lady's story. It was a very pathetic and very
touching
very
story.
good one. Yeah.
Speaking of gender in language, there are some instances where you have to go by the rules. For example, you can speak without referring to yourself, but when you are being when you're in a formal setting, you have to say I. For example, we saw here as watashi wa engineer desu. This watashi is quite feminine. It's actually neutral, but it is usually seen a bit feminine. It's actually a very safe way to say I, because it's quite gender neutral. But there are other ways to say I. Like, for example, especially for men can use boku instead of watashi. Like,
Okay.
I like boku is like a very polite way of referring to yourself for a man.
Okay.
At the same time, there is ore. Ore is a very rude way, like a very informal way of referring to yourself. Like, you cannot
Yes.
use it in a formal setting.
You
You're,
say like array, yeah, array, bye, like that. It's
yeah,
ore.
it's
Yeah.
if you use ore instead of watashi, the sentence will be ore wa engineer desu. Ore wa engineer desu. And this ore is also used by men. So there was this funny incident that once happened when I was in Japan. We were trying Kyudo, the Japanese archery thing, and everyone. At first, they said that everyone will get one chance, and later someone asked the person who was managing the crowd, and she said she got another chance. So I got hyped up. I love archery a lot and I wanted to try it again. So I went straight to her and accidentally said Oremo. I accidentally used ore. It is a masculine way to say, a masculine and very rude way to refer to yourself. And the person looked at me like, who is this? Do I know you? It was a very embarrassing moment of my life. Like, I was
Yeah.
just excited. I was just excited and I blew it. And I just left. I didn't even wait for a second chance. I just left out of embarrassment. That happened.
Yeah, one more thing I want, like, they don't bother about the friendship or the people's this thing and all, but they give a lot of importance to the being polite and etiquette and all that, right?
They do.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
It's like
Thank you so much. You are really enlightening us. Thank you. And I
Thank
should
you for
not bother
having
you
me.
much.
No, it's all right. I'm all here to be bothered. I took up this chance to be bothered.
Good interaction.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a very informative, useful, and enlightening session. Arigato gozaimasu.
Hey. Do itashimashite.
Shall we move on to our out of thanks now?
Yes, sure.
Be thankful for what you have, you will end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never ever have enough. Oprah Winfrey. Now I invite Mr. V. Hari Prasad, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to propose the vote of thanks.
Gratitude is the powerful catalyst for happiness. It's a spark that lights the fire of joy in your soul. As per the quote goes, it's human to say our gratitude. Happy morning, all. First, I must thank our enlightening Mrs. A. Rajeswari for her excellent talk on Japanese culture, tradition, and language. Thank you, ma'am. Next, my gratitude goes to most respected Chairman Sir, Dr. K.P. Ramasamy Sir, Secretary Sir, C.A.A.K. Munsami, Principal Dr. S. Balasamy for their support all the time. I also want to thank deans, HODs, faculty members, research scholars of KPRCAS and others who have participated. It's my responsibility to thank my English department and technical team for their support. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Your feedback link is posted in the chat box. Kindly fill in and give your suggestions. It will also be posted in the official WhatsApp group. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining this session on 7-day International FDP on Multilingual Culturalism on Japanese. Thank you, ma'am. That was really a wonderful session. Now I request all of us to pay tribute to our nation. National anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत
Thank you, participants. A special thanks to the enthusiastic participants who have been supporting us right from day one. Tomorrow, we are going to explore Korean language. So, please do join us tomorrow. I hope you are busy filling your feedback links.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Please do join us tomorrow for exploring Korean language. We have Mr. Satish Chandra Satyarthi. He will be speaking on the unique aspects of Korean language. Till then,